Hello everyone, welcome to bispsolutions.com. My name is Sumit. I'm a Salesforce expert and I'm working as a Salesforce consultant cum developer. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Salesforce Apex REST integration. As you know, that Salesforce is an online cloud solution and we might be requiring to integrate Salesforce with most of third-party tools. So in order to do that, we would be requiring REST and SOAP API integrations. So this is my first video in continuation of that. And today I'm going to talk about the REST integration by using Salesforce Apex. So here I'm going to demonstrate you that how can we build Apex REST class and how can we test the Apex REST class or that REST API by using some online tool just for testing. So first of all, we will be going to create one Apex REST class, and later on we'll be going to check that how can we test or validate whether that Apex REST class is working perfectly or not. So my scenario is I have got a Salesforce account object, and in that account object I have got more than 800 records. But I would like to set a limit that it should display only first 10 records or first 20 records while we access that Apex or while we call that Apex REST class by using any third-party tool. So it should display only first 10 records or first 20 records. So let's have a look how can we achieve that. So first of all, we need to switch to Salesforce. So let me switch to Salesforce first. So that's my Salesforce account. I'm using my Salesforce developers account, and here you can see we have got one account object, and in this account object I have got around more than 1000 records are there. So let me display all the records. First of all, how many records are there? So there are around 1000 records. There are around 1004 records, and by using third-party tool, by using some third-party application, by using REST API services, I would like to display the records. I would like to check the records. So for that, I will be going to build one Apex class for REST API services for as a web services. So click on develop Apex class, and I'll give a name as, let's say I create a name new, and it should be any name. It should be either your name as well. So it should be any name. If you want, you can provide your own name as well. Now because we would like to extract it by using additional services, so we need to provide it should be starts with @. So we need to first of all create a REST resource and set a URL mapping. So I write @REST resource and URL mapping equal to single quotes /. Now here we need to give a name which matches which we are going to extract by using application some outside of the Salesforce. So let's suppose I give name as show accounts and star. Star means it will pull all the records. Then I create a global class. Why I'm creating global class? Because we'll be going to extract this class out of Salesforce. So that's why I create a global class here, global class, and let's say get, or let's say check account. Check account. Now there are certain methods, REST methods. So the first method we have is @HTTP get method. This HTTP get method will help us to extract the data out of Salesforce, or we can say that this whenever any third-party tool they invoke this Apex class, this HTTP get method will return the result back to that tool. So I create here global static list because I would be returning more than one records. So that's why I created an instance as a list. So it will be returning as a list type because it would be returning more than one records. Then I create an instance for this for account class, account object, named as LST. I created a try and catch block so that if any error occurs, it would be able to handle that error. Exception EX. And in this try and catch block, we would be writing the functionality. So in this list, I'm going to pull the data. So I'm going to store the values like select name, comma, phone from account. Now, if here I'm not setting any limit, so it will pull all the records. It will return all the all set of records. So there are 1000 records, 1004 records. So it will return all the records which resides in our account object. And if any error occurs while extracting or while invoking this Apex class, so it will throw the error message and it will add an error plus ex dot get message. Return LST. Else it will return LST. So let me save this first of all. As you can see here, I'm getting one error message, duplicate URL mapping on @rest resource show account, because this I have already used. So I can call it as show account details. I renamed it as show account details and save it. Now, in order to test this show account details, in order to test this REST API, there is one third-party tools which is provided by Salesforce called Workbench. So I'm using, I visit this link workbench.developers.developerforce.com, or you can simply write workbench.developerforce.com. So if you have already logged in if you have already logged in into your Salesforce, you do not need to log in again. Otherwise, it will ask you to log in first of all. Then it will allow you to move to the next step. Because I have already logged in into my Salesforce, so I do not need to log in into Workbench again. So first of all, I select the environment as a production and the API version is 39.0 because my current version of my Salesforce is 39.0. So I want you to find out what the current version I will be working on. So I click on API. So I'll just type here API, develop API, and I wanted to see the current version. What's the current API version on which we'll be operating? This is very important. This is very necessary that it should match with the current API version, because there are a couple of functions, a couple of functionalities which do not work in lower version, and might be possible that we have applied in the, we have specified in the current functionality. So let's have a look. So I click on generate and it will generate one class for me. It will generate one WSDL, generate enterprise WSDL file for me. Okay, and there it will be mentioned that what version will be working on, what API version will be working on. So you can see here we are working on API version 39.0. So it matched with the current version of Salesforce. So current API version is 39.0. Select I agree to the terms of service and click on login with Salesforce. So it will automatically connect with the, it will automatically map with the Salesforce account which you have presently logged in. Now we would like to jump to REST Explorer. So I click on REST Explorer and click on select. You do not need to specify any object. Now as you can see here, we have Workbench and we are getting all the REST API methods: get, post, put, patch, delete, head, and so on. So get is to extract the data. Get is to extract the data by using REST API. Post is to store the records, and delete is to delete couple of record, delete the record. Now here I would be providing the name. So I write service, because I would like to invoke Apex REST. So I'll write Apex REST / name of the URL. So the name of the URL is show account details. So I simply copy this show account details and add it here. So service Apex REST show account details. Now when we click on execute, it will execute, and if any error occurs, it will throw the error message. It will show the error message, else it will display all the account records. So it may take some time The request may take some time because it will be going to connect with your Salesforce, and then this by using this Apex class, because this URL mapping, it will invoke the get function, and in this get function it will execute this query. It will extract the name and phone from the account, stored into a list, and then it will return list. So as you can see here, the record has been reverted, and it will display it is displaying all the records. So these are all 1004 record. And if I want to see the JSON file for this, so I click on show raw responses, and we would be able to see all the records here as well. So that's the JSON. I believe that you all are familiar with JSON. Just JSON file is a combination of key and value pair. So as you can see here, we have key and value pair, name and its value, name and phone and its ID. So it's in a key and value pair, name and ID and its phone number. So that's how we can extract all the records. But now if I want to set a limit on it, I just want, now the disadvantage of using others, the default web API is, other web services, is that we don't have control on the number of records reverted back by the Salesforce. Because if you are not using REST API, if you are using any other services, the default web services, in default web services, the Salesforce will return all the record. But if you want to all the records with all the fields, so if there are 500 fields in your object, so it will return the values for all the 500 fields. Whereas in Apex REST API, we can only return the values of a specific field. So we have more control on REST API as compared Apex REST API as comparative to other web services. So I would like to update it, and I want to set a limit onto it. So I said select name, phone, and I set a limit here, and I would be reverting only limit. I set the limit as 10 and then save it. So it would be returning only first 10 records. So when we invoke this Apex class, Apex REST API, it will revert only first 10 records. So that's the same URL. I simply click on execute. It will again reprocess, refreshed, and it returns only first 10 records. So if you count them, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 records are there. So we have set the limit of 10 records. In continuation of that, let's suppose if you want to invoke a specific record, I would like to extract a specific record. So for that, we need to customize this Apex REST API. And in this Apex REST API, the function I would be adding two more resources. So first of all, let me remove all these, and I would be customizing this. And first of all, I write here REST response, REST response, and REST request. REST response, RES, is equal to REST context dot response, and REST request, REQ, is equal to REST context dot request. Then I create one string which will hold the account ID. So this will hold the account ID which we are going to pass through the tool. So it will say REQ request dot request URL dot sub string REQ dot request dot URI. It should be URI, actually URI, it's in capital, so URI dot last index of single quotes /+1. So whenever we pass any URL here, in this URL we'll be going to pass the ID of that record, and that ID will be stored in this account ID, and based on this account ID we would be going to query the result. We'll be going to query an output. So debug is equal to account ID single quotes plus account ID, and then I create an instance for account result is equal to select ID comma name comma phone website from account where ID equal to colon account ID, and it will return result. So let's test it. So first of all, I save it. Line number 13. So select ID. It should be this. Save it. So after I remove the errors, you can see it has been stored, it has been created successfully. The Apex class has been customized successfully by using this HTTP get function, where we'll be going to pass one ID by using workbench, and based on that ID, it will extract the records, it will filter the records and revert the output, return the result. So there are a couple of changes. It should be URI and it should be system.debug here. So this was the error I was getting. So the errors has been, that's the complete code. And now we'll be going to invoke the same URL, but this time we'll be going to pass the ID as well. So I would be requiring the ID for a record. So I just visit that record, copy the ID from here, and to pass the ID, I'll just use the URL, add a forward slash and paste the ID along with it and click on execute. So this ID will be passed into the Apex REST API. This particular string, it will invoke, it will extract the ID and store into account ID, and based on this account ID would be extracting ID, name, phone and website and store into the result, and it will revert result back to the workbench. And you see we have got the output. It is Bennett 519 INC 54545 and website is www.thara.com. So these are the fields we have extracted: account name, phone number, website and ID. So that's the ID. So that's how we can pull a specific record by using Apex REST API. In continuation of that, if I would like to store the records, if I would like to insert a record, so for inserting record, we would be using HTTP post method. So for that, instead of creating, I would be going to customize the same class Apex REST API, and in the same Apex REST API, I would be adding that HTTP post method as well. So for that, after this, I write @HTTP post So that's the complete code for this HTTP post global static string do post, and in this function, in this do post function, we'll be passing three parameters: name, phone number, and account number. And I create an instance for account, acc new account, and here this acc.name will set as name. Whatever parameters will be passed: name, phone, and account number. Insert the account, and it will return the current account ID back to the tool. So first of, let's save this, and we are going to call this. So in order to call it, I'll get back to workbench. Let's have a look how can we invoke it. So first of all, I remove this ID, get to the post method, that because the URL will be same, because the post method also map with the same URL. So that's why I post the URL. It is asking for request, it is asking for a body. So as you know, it's a JSON file. It should always be in key and name pair. So I'll say key and value pair. So name, I'll say BISP solutions INC, comma, then the second parameter here will be passing is phone number, and so I pass here phone 4567889, and the third value will be passing account number, and account number would be in same format. So I just copy account number, and I pass the account number as, so that's the value, and click on, and make sure that you have selected the post method. So here I have selected the post method, click on execute. So I get an error message says unexpected parameter encountered, account number at line 4. So you can see there is a JSON parser error, and the error is because I missed this account number. I missed one word, I missed one letter R. So let me execute it again now, and you can see the record has been successfully inserted. The output, you must be wondering, the output is in some amazing format. So what I'll do, I click on show row response, and here I can see the output. So that's the ID of the newly inserted record. Let's go back to account and check it. So I click on accounts, and the record which I have inserted just now, that is named as BISP Solution Inc. So you can see a record has been inserted named as BISP Solutions Inc. along with the phone number, and we can click on this, visit this record, and I can see the account number as well, because here the account number is 4578455. So you can see the account number 4578455, and the ID is 0016RC. So that's the RC. This QAU has been added because it has been generated by using API. So this is just for internal use. We are not going to talk about that. So the actual ID is this one. So the last 3 digit has been added because it has been generated through by using API. In continuation of that, if I want to delete the records, for example, there is one more method called delete, and I would like to use this method. I would like to use the delete method to delete the records. So for deleting, I'll simply edit the same Apex REST API class, Apex class, and for this I would be invoking HTTP get method. So for that, HTTP get method, so first of all we will be extracting the data, and then we will be calling delete function. So you can see I have created one function, HTTP delete global static void do delete. Now there's a difference between, here we have invoked the account class account, and here we are using void parameter, void return parameter, because it won't return any value, because once the record deleted, it cannot revert back the ID. So here it is deleting, and then we follow the same process as we did for extracting the result based on the ID, and then I delete the result. Now here we'll be passing the account number, not the ID. So if you want to delete the record based on ID, so then we can customize it, but here I am deleting based on account number. So let's try whether it's work or not. So I click on save it. Let's test it. I want to delete the same record with the account number 4578455. So I copy this account number, and I select delete, and I pass the account number and click on execute. So you can see it's not returning any output, and the record has been deleted successfully. So let's go and check it. So I click on accounts, and you can see the record has been deleted successfully. If I want to validate whether record has been deleted or not, so I click on recycle bin, and you can see the record has been deleted and moved to recycle bin. So from here we can restore it, or we can delete it permanently from recycle bin as well. So this is one way of testing the REST Apex API classes. In next video, we'll be going to see that how can we invoke these Apex REST API classes by using Java. So that's all in this video. If you have any queries, you can write to us on www.bispsolutions.com. We are providing consulting services for Salesforce as well as job support. So if you are looking for that, you can visit us. Also, we will be providing training on Salesforce as well, both developers as well as admin. If you like this video, don't forget to press like button. If you want to share any comments, you are most welcome to post your comments in comment box. Keep watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.